Hey everybody, it's Jacob Tucker here, and welcome back to another Flow video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take your NFT contract and rewrite it in Cadence 1.0. So I'm basically going to walk through my example NFT contract here, which has a ton of errors in it because I'm using Cadence 1.0 here. And I'm gonna walk through it step by step and convert it to Cadence 1.0 with you. So hopefully you can do the same for your NFT contracts. Now, my example NFT contract here should look a little similar to your NFT contract. And if I don't cover everything, obviously, because you probably will have differences in your contract, hopefully it'll lead you in the right direction. Now, with that being said, I'm probably going to run into a bunch of errors and confusion along the way, but is what it is, and we'll work through this together. So, just as a note, so this is my example NFT contract, and I have the view resolver, non-fungible token, metadata views, and fungible token all in Cadence 1.0. So all of my imports are compiling correctly. So I'm just going to change this contract to fit the new standards, to fit the new syntax, and it'll be great. So let's dive into it. So the very first thing that you should be changing in a Cadence 1.0 contract is pub. Because pub no longer exists as an access modifier. It's now just access all, which is the same exact thing. So what I'm going to do is look up pub where it's the exact match and replace it with access all. So boom, that gets rid of a ton of errors right there. Now what I'm going to do here is on the right hand side, you'll see where the red arrows are. I'm just going to walk through this and we're just going to knock them out. So what we're seeing here is an error about this syntax. Now in old Cadence, how you determined access on a certain, variable or function was based on its type. So in this case, this was an example collection that's restricted to the public interface. So users could only call stuff like deposit, get IDs, but not withdraw, right? Well, in Cadence 1.0, restricted types literally don't exist anymore. So you can't even have those brackets there. Now you may be thinking, well, oh my God, this is a public collection. We don't want people to access our example NFT.collection. That could give them withdraw. Well, in Cadence 1.0, it actually doesn't because access is now based on entitlements and this doesn't have an entitlement on it. Or more specifically, it doesn't have the owner or the withdraw entitlement on it. So people can't withdraw with this type. And we'll get into what entitlements are in a bit, but just follow me for now. So let's just go ahead and get rid of all these errors by getting rid of the restricted type. We're going to do that for this one as well. We're going to delete that. So boom. Okay, those deleted. So let's keep going. Let's go to the next one. So here we're getting errors because of this auth keyword. Now, auth no longer exists as, well, it still exists as a keyword, but for entitlement. So it actually serves a different purpose now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just rewrite this function using the new Cadence 1.0 syntax. So let's just go ahead and do that right now. So, and you can see I'm looking at my other screen here because I have all my notes there. So we're just going to go ahead and delete this and change this to if let, we're going to use optional binding, equals reference to self.owned NFTs at ID as a reference to non-fungible token.nft. Okay. So we're going to say if this NFT exists in this collection, we're going to cast it as a non-fungible token NFT. And this actually might look different to you, this syntax, but I'll explain that in a second. If this is true, then return NFT as, and we're going to force cast it to a NFT type. Okay, so a more simple to write this return type, by the way, is just NFT, okay? And if not, then we're going to return nil. So very simple, okay? So we got rid of that error. Great. Now let's go to borrow view resolver. So this also, again, restricted types no longer exist, so this doesn't make any sense. So let's also just go ahead and rewrite this function. So this function is going to say if let NFT equals, actually, let's just go ahead and copy and paste what we have up here because we just wrote it. And instead of force casting it to an NFT type, we're going to cast it to a view resolver type right there. And we can actually change this type up here to be view resolver optional. Okay. So the next error here is on the destroy function. Destroy functions no longer exist. It's as simple as that. So we actually can just delete this function. Kind of a bummer because you can't really specify exact destroy actions now, but it's removed. So that is what it is again. Some errors here. So we're getting errors right here. So we're going to go ahead and, again, remove all the restricted types. So let's just go ahead and do that. All right, so we knocked out that error. Let's keep going, and we see errors here. So we're just going to go ahead and remove that restricted type again. Now, when we do that, we're going to get a ton of errors, right? Because we removed sort of like the basic errors, and now we're getting to like the real meat of it. Let's just go from top to bottom again, and we're just going to keep knocking out errors until our thing compiles, and then we'll be happy. So let's do that. So right now, one thing I'll tell you is you can remove view resolver from here. You just need the non-fungible token interface. And actually, one interesting fact that's not really going to change anything in our case, but total supply is no longer a requirement on NFT interfaces. So we're going to leave this just because I think it's helpful, but it's no longer required. So, we're just going to keep it there for now. Let's keep walking through. So we see errors here. Okay, so we're going to make a lot of changes here. So first of all, we can remove metadata views.resolver. If you don't have that, that's fine. And we're going to return, we're going to change this from INFT to just NFT. Now, the reason is because if we go to our non-fungible token standard, you'll see that NFT is no longer a resource. It is a resource interface. So it's actually written differently, and that's why it's written like this, right? So non-fungible token.nft. All right, so we have our ID here. That's needed, but we have a few other functions here that we actually have to add. One of them is we need to add a function called create empty collection inside our NFT. So this is very new. And this is going to return a non-fungible token.collection type. And we're just going to say return example NFT.create empty collection. But we're going to do something a little different here. Now, you realize it's saying errors. We're going to fix this error by actually also updating the create empty collection function that's in our main contract. So if we look up create empty collection, we should see that it exists down here, right? We already had a create empty collection function in our contract, but now we're actually going to change it a bit. We need to add NFT type, which is a type like this, and we need to add brackets here. And we're going to say return create collection. So that's great. Now, this error is going to fix itself in a second here once we fix the other errors. So we'll just leave this for now, but we've updated this function appropriately, which is great. So if we scroll back up, we actually see that we need a NFT type to pass in here. So what we're going to do is say NFT type, and this is just going to simply be a type example NFT.nft. Boom. So that is now fixed, which is awesome. So the next thing here is we're going to add the view keyword to our get views. The reason for that is because this is now a view function in the standard. And we can actually go and see that. If we go to our NFT interface, you'll see that there is now a, it's because of view resolver.resolver. So I'll let you explore that on your own. But a view function in Cadence 1.0 is basically saying this does not modify any data. It does not modify any state. It just simply gets data. And so that's why we add the view keyword here. All right, cool. So we can keep scrolling until we get to this error. So kind of scary, a lot of errors here. The reason is because provider is no longer on the NFT collection data struct, so we can get rid of that. And the provider linked type is no longer there, so we can get rid of that. We can change, we have to change this type to, because it's a resource interface, we have to add brackets there. And right here, we have to add NFT type. NFT type and pass it a type, which is example NFT.nft. Just like that. Boom. So we fix that error. That's great. So now we're going to move on to the next error, which is the example NFT collection public. And in here, what we have to do is we can just go ahead and delete this entirely, which is really nice. And we can also delete all of these and replacing it with non-fungible token .collection. And that also probably looks super weird to you if you're used to current Cadence, but if we go to our standard contract, you will see that the collection is now an interface as well. So just like how NFT got changed, collection also got changed. So so that's why it's like that. So we can walk through these errors one by one. We have to put brackets around all these types. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let's put brackets around that type, brackets around this type, brackets around this type, and brackets around this. Now, I believe also that borrow NFT, I'm just going to double check on my notes here. Yeah, borrow NFT actually returns an optional now, so we no longer force cast like that. And it's also a view function, okay? We can also go ahead and add view to get IDs. And there's actually another function we have to add here called access all view function get length. And length returns a int, and it's just simply returns self.ownedNFTs.keys.length. Okay, so there is the length function. We can keep going a little bit, and we get to borrow view resolver. This is also quite different. I actually forgot to add that it's also a view there, so make sure to add view. We have borrow example NFT. I'm just checking my notes. We have borrow NFT, which is great. We have length. We have IDs, which is great. We have the deposit here. Oh, I think actually one difference I forgot to do is right here, borrow NFT. We have to add that little underscore here to the argument. So that's just one small change. Okay. Now, a really important change is this withdraw function. So remember how I said that access is no longer based on types? So in order for this to be restricted to just the owner, we actually have to change this to non-fungible token.withdraw or non-fungible token.owner. And so what this will do is say, okay, you can only call this function if you have the withdraw or the owner entitlement. So it's really important to make that change, or else people are just going to be able to withdraw from your public collection, right? Okay, so a couple other things we have to add, and I'm actually going to show you this. So inside our resource interface collection here, you can see it's abiding by all these types. Now, if we scroll through here, right, one of them is collection public. We just made this change, so all these are already implemented, which is great. We look at receiver, which has deposit. We already made deposit, but it also has get support NFT types and is supported NFT type. So we have to add these. So let's first add get supported NFT types, okay? And I'm going to check my notes here just really quick. Okay, so we can go ahead and add that. So we have to add this function, and this is just going to return, or actually, let's just say let supported types, which is a type to bool map equals empty dictionary. Then say supported types at type.example nft.nft. Oops, like that, equals true, and then return supported types. And I don't want to hear anything about me looking at my notes here. I know I'm cheating, but I can't memorize anything. Or I can't memorize everything, not anything. I can memorize something. Okay, so then the next thing we need is support NFT type. So let's go ahead and add that as well. This returns a bool, and this is simply just going to say if type equals type example nft.nft, like that. Then we can return true, else return false. All right, great. So that is an awesome change. Now, there's a couple other things I just want to show you. Where inside the that'll be in a second here. But where is it that I'm trying to show you? Okay. Anyways, I guess I'll live for another time. Okay. So let's just keep going through our errors here. So again, we have an error here. This is because we have to remove provider. We have to remove provider. We have to change this to that. And then we have to say, again, NFT type, where this is a type with example nft.nft. Okay, fix that. Keep going to our errors. And we see now we get to the bottom here, right? And so this is now self.storage.save. And as you probably know, linking actually no longer exists. It's now all based on capability controllers. So we can remove this linking, and I'm going to show you how to do it instead. So as opposed to saving something in a storage path and then just linking it to the public, it's now a bit different. Now you have to first issue a storage capability, which is basically the equivalent of the old private capability. But we're going to issue a storage capability and then publish that storage capability to the public. So I'll show you that. So let collection cap equals self.account.capabilities.storage.issue. So a lot of dots, issue. And the type that we're going to issue for our storage capability is going to be example nft.collection, just like that. And the path is going to be the storage path of where it's stored at. So self.collection storage path. Then we're going to say self.account.capabilities.publish, and we're going to publish that collection capability to the public, which is self.collection public path. So there's just that little change there. And then, of course, we have to change this to self.storage.save as well. Okay, cool. So we've made some great changes so far. Another change we have to make is instead of get views, this now has to be a view function, and it should be get contract views, right? And we actually have to add this little parameter here called resource type, and this is now going to be a type optional. And we have to make that change on here. This is also going to be resolve contract view. And the other thing here, we have to add resource type, which is resource type, which is a type question mark. And this now gets changed to view type. Okay, view type, like that. And now we switch on view type. Okay. So there's that change. Now, one thing I want to point out to you is you'll notice that we're doing this and this actually twice in the contract. If we scroll up here, see it's also existing here. We can actually simplify this a lot by saying, instead of just having this again, we can say return example nft.resolve contract view, where the resource type is type example nft.nft, like that. And the view type is type metadata. Actually, we can just copy it right here. Metadata views.nft collection data. Boom. And we can do the same thing for this one. So again, this is just massively reducing the code in our contract. Resolve contract view, where the resource type is the same thing here, and the view type is collection data. Awesome. So we've made some great changes there. Okay, so we got to keep going on some other things. So looks like our NFT is now perfect, which is great. The only thing we're getting errors on is our collection, and I'm not going to lie to you, I actually do not know why this is the case. So I might have to search for it here. Why is this giving us an error now? I actually have to look at my notes here because I cannot figure it out. So we have, do we have create empty collection here? We don't. I think that's the error. So one thing we're also missing here, and I'll show you that if we go to non-fungible token collection. And again, oh yeah, so right here. Oh wait, actually no, I don't know why. Oh, right here. So this function in the non-fungible token standard, you can see we need to create empty collection. So we need to take that. You can see there's a lot of create empty collections now. Paste that here, and we're just going to simply say return create collection. All right, that is great. This actually has to be non-fungible token dot collection. And there we go. No more errors in our contract. Also, one thing I forgot to point out is that we actually no longer need these events here. So we're going to go ahead and literally delete those from our contract because, and I'll show you this in a second after I delete these, because these are now all handled by the non-fungible token standard directly. So if we go into our standard here, you should see that it defines a withdrawn and deposited event. And these are again getting handled automatically inside of our functions here. So here's the post where this is being emitted. And we can also look up so there's the deposited. So it's getting emitted. You can now emit events in the pre and post conditions, which is really cool. So yeah, just something to note that you can also now delete your events, or at least the events you had to have before. So, okay, cool.